Good evening. My name is Robert Michael Paisley, and this is my presentation on linear regression for week 6 of GRC 605 2019. And our professor was Professor Long. And again, this is week 6. To begin this presentation, we will look at the agenda, and the agenda of this is to use PSPP tool and import the data to express the hypothesis for a regression. We will perform regressions on three different data sets. The first one being income equals B1 times debt plus C1. The next one is income equals B2 savings plus C2. And the last is savings equals B3 stocks plus C3. And then finally, we're going to talk about 3 articles that we read or watched during the term and how it interested myself and helped me to learn the content of this course and what I may have got out of it. So first, we're going to look at linear regression. And we want to see that linear regression will take the data that is not complete and allow you to make an assumption of the next variable based on the data that is given. So we'll take data that is not full data and make assumptions of what the next data may be. So with this information, we will state the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis of each data set that we want to look at. So in regression, the 2 hypotheses are, the first one being the null, where there are no significant regressors, and the alternative hypothesis is there is at least one significant regressor. And stated we have a rejection rule. We will reject the null when the p is less than alpha, where alpha is 0.05. And we'll have a confirm rule of 0 at 95% CI. So in our first hypothesis test, we took the dependent variable of debt and the independent variable of income, and we ran it in our PSPP. And to the right, you can see the data that was given out of it, and some of that is, if we look in the first, we can look at our R squared is 0, and then of our constant, we can look at the bottom there of our income, and some of the major things is our standard error of 226.26, our beta being negative 0.05, and our lower bounds of negative 0.101 to positive 0.01. So we will look at our hypothesis. So in this APA hypothesis answer, we see that there is no significant result found because first hypothesis test, we will show that the following regression was conducted, and the null hypothesis is the regression coefficient of B is 0, and the alternative hypothesis, the regression coefficient is non-zero. So a simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether observed income could be predicted from debt. And no significant regression was found because beta equals negative 0.05, R squared equals 0, and our P was 0.535, which is way more than the alpha of 0.05. Our second hypothesis test, we took the dependent variable of savings and the independent variable of income. And again, we ran it in our PSPP, and to the right you can see some of the information that was given back. our R of 0.91, adjusted R-square of 0.82. We can see that our constant was income against savings, and our beta was 0.91, our signal of 0, and our lower bound was 0.09 to 0.11. So in our APA answer here, we saw a sample and we saw the significant result found because a simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether income could be predicted from savings. A statistically significant regression emerged. Beta equals 0.91, R squared equals 0.82, P equals 0.00. So further, the 95% CI showed a 0.09 to 0.11, and it does not contain 0, so hence this was the lending support to the prediction that we have a significant result here. And also we can look at the p-value, and it is less than the alpha of 0.05. Our third hypothesis test, we used a dependent variable of stocks and an independent variable of savings. Again, to the right, same thing. We can see our information coming after we imported the data into PSPP and ran this regression tool. Some things are R-square of 0.08, and we can look at our beta of 0.28, our signal of 0, and our lower bound and our upper bound is 0.07 to 0.25. So here we have a sample, and we showed a significant result found for our third hypothesis test. The following regression was conducted. The null hypothesis was the regression coefficient beta is 0, or the alternative hypothesis, the regression coefficient beta is non-zero. So a simple linear regression was conducted to determine whether savings could be predicted from stocks. A statistically significant regression emerged, and where our beta equals 0.28 and our R squared equals 0.08, our p-value was 0.00. So further, the 95% confidence interval of 0.07 to 0.25 does not contain zeros, hence lending support to the prediction that we had a significant result could be found between these two variables. And we also showed our p-value was less than the alpha, which is 0.05. So we're going to go into the articles that helped with learning this content that I thought was important. And first was a YouTube video in week 1, which told us about the scientific method video. This video was helpful to me because it reminded me about using the scientific method, and it gave real life examples that really showed how that you could use the scientific method in your everyday life. So it was I had not remembered the scientific method, even though we use it, but taking it verbatim and showing it in how we do use it every day. This video really portrayed that and helped me see that. So during this course, we use the scientific method to get more information from the data that we have, and then allowed us to state a hypothesis during this course. Then we move on to the article 2 that helped with learning the content. Was another video. I like the videos, but in week 4, Dr. Hess provided us with the video that helped us understand PSPP. So I had not worked with PSPP too much, so his videos allowed us to import the data from that week, and also helped us import data into the 5th week and the 6th week. But this course showed us how to take that data and walked us through how to import it into PSPP. So as we had to have that for this course, so we needed to know a good way, and his video really showed a step by step, and he presented it very well. And the third thing that helped with learning this content was the last video, which I liked, which was in week 6. I like the videos that we had to watch from Mr. Brandon Foltz about regression. He had a very big series, and we were only had to watch the basic one, but I continued to watch the series of videos to help learn about the regression and what it meant and how to use it. So this was very helpful to me, and learn a little bit about regression, because I have not really done too much stuff with regression in my learning career or in my working career. So this was very informative, and his way of talking to you actually kept you in good spirits, and when you thought you weren't learning the content, he actually brought you up. So he did a very good job in that. So our main takeaways, I think, with this presentation, we were able to use PSPP and find linear regression from data that we had, and that data allowed us to see if our p-value was less than our alpha, was 0.05, and if it was more than the alpha, the test would be insignificant, and then we would, look at if it was less, then we'd look at our confidence interval and make sure that we didn't include the 0, so we could have a significant correlation between the data. So we also looked at videos that I thought were important in this course, and how they helped me out. And so I'd like to thank everybody for watching my video, and if there are any questions, please email me, and I could answer them at the best of my ability. Thank you, and have a great semester.